I believe what we now need to do is to build on what we have prepared for, and then to make it even more sustainable moving forward. Now, obviously, as I said, having load shedding is unacceptable, and we regret having to revert to the action of implementing load shedding. Now, just to give you a little bit of breakdown on where these pockets of challenges, where we find them. Now, obviously trips, and one of the things that is actually extremely annoying within the organization, which is receiving quite a lot of attention, is what we call slips. Is where you say a unit will come back at a certain period, and then our production is putting it into the production plan, and then when it slips, it actually has a significant impact. Especially under situation that your demand and your supply is very tight. So we have about 4,000 megawatts that is in that category that we really are working hard to fix. Then Camden, the ash dam, the safety factor, we're still not out of it. By the end of March, April, we hope that we can bring back some more units at Camden Power Station. Currently, we can only run 3 safely. So there's another 1,300 megawatts at this point in time that is there, and it's available, but we cannot connect it to the grid because of the ash constraints that we have at Camden. Then Koeberg, yes, although we're in a planned maintenance outage now, we had to take down this unit number 1 on the 3rd of January, about 6 weeks before we planned it, because we had a leak on one of the steam generator tubes. Now, I'm pleased to say that over the last few days, we managed to locate where exactly this leak is. And we've also identified what the cause of that is, which obviously makes it much more positive for us, in order that after the outage, that the NNR will provide us the go-ahead that we can put the unit back onto the grid. But then I'd like to highlight 3 power stations: Tutuka, Duva, and Kusile. Now, these 3 power stations really is challenging at this point in time. It's performing extremely poorly. But there's dedicated focus on how to turn this around. And if we can solve this, we're talking about 2,300 megawatts that we can add. And if you take a load shedding of stage 2, 2,000 megawatts, if we fix it, and when we fix the performance of these 3 stations, specifically Duva and Tutuka, then we will move forward quite a lot. Excuse me. We have appointed 6 power station GMs over the last few months. So with the exception of 1 at Arnott, where we lost, unfortunately, our colleague due to COVID, all the power station GM positions have been filled. And we will very soon appoint the group executive for generation. Over the last 3 years, we had 5 people in this position, so it is now really necessary to ensure that we have leadership stability. Planned maintenance, as the Chief has said, we're very proud that we've moved from an average of 9% last year to a little bit over 12%, so that's where we stand, and we will continue doing this. However, although we say we do a lot of maintenance, I'd like to remind the public of South Africa, unfortunately, where we find ourselves, the system is still very vulnerable. And just this weekend demonstrated, where we believed we moved forward towards the end of last year, and we can have a look at lifting the load shedding early this week, or maybe over the weekend. We lost a number of units just over the weekend. So the system remains unreliable and unpredictable. So up until we have made quite a significant dent in reliability maintenance, the risk, unfortunately, of load shedding will remain. Transmission and distribution, very good performance, and I'm really proud of my colleagues in those 2 divisions that where we had some significant challenges 2 years ago, and also a year and a half ago, we've turned that performance around. There's still a mountain to climb, but we are moving forward positively. It is important also to understand that in the electrical network asset portfolio, we have assets that is relatively old. You know, in the transmission environment, our transformers, voltage transformers, current transformers, breakers, you know, we have assets that's in excess of 45 years old. So it needs to be refurbed, it needs to be replaced. My concern remains within the transmission environment, the protection systems. That is relatively old, but we have plans to replace all of those. Distribution, the customers are experiencing better than last year's restoration time, and that the duration of a fault as well as the frequency of faults have improved as well. So good performance. So we still, Public of South Africa, we honestly and sincerely regret, you know, the inconvenience that we are causing because of our system that is not performing the way it should. If I go then into a little bit more detail, the nuclear performance, Koeberg, we're currently running an energy availability factor of 82.64%. It's lower than our target of 85. Around about 85. However, it's due to two reasons and two factors. The one, as I said earlier, we had to take down Unit 1 earlier. And then last year, we had a delay of 15 days on the outage. Basically, three reasons. The one being because of our own shortcomings. Then secondly, because of COVID. And then also we increased the scope of work. But because of those three reasons, and as well as Unit number 4, we are below where we set ourselves, but it's still a very high energy availability. Our readiness for the steam generator replacement has taken a bit of a slide back. However, I'm not that concerned at this point in time. It's just renewed energy and focus to bring it back, but we still believe we are close to 90% ready for this outage that will happen in January next year, in 2022. Our trips, 0 trips, our forced loss rate is extremely well at 2.7. And then our long-term operational readiness, this is now all the work that needs to happen to be ready to obtain an extension to the license of Koeberg for another 20 years, which will be in the middle of 2024. All in all, good performance, solid performance in the nuclear space. And also, we are very safe. We have introduced, as I said to you last time, you know, an international independent oversight committee. And the feedback we received at the end of, I think it was December, they were here in December, was Koeberg is operating safely. So, need to say that. The refueling is in progress at this point in time. Our Unit number 2 that we brought back in the 25th of October last year is running for 142 days. Then the earthquakes we experienced end of last year, it's just to say that measured about 3.5 and 2.7 on the Ruyter scale. Now Koeberg is designed for 7. And over the number of years at Koeberg, you know, whenever there were any incidents that happened worldwide, now all those improvements we have implemented over a number of years. Also, there have been talks lately about the containment buildings at Koeberg, but I can confirm that that remains fully effective to withstand whatever is challenging that effectiveness. Our group capital, that is our projects, new build. The only thing that I actually would like to highlight that the Chief didn't highlight is on the projects that is not now Medupi and Kusile, where we call that coal and clean technology, focusing on new ash dams, the emission improvements on the power stations. We have some challenges, and that area of group capital is not performing the way we would really like it to perform. However, we are providing the necessary attention there to make sure that we turn that performance to a standard that we aspire to. In terms of major defects correction, I'm not going to go through the detail. However, just to give feedback that we started unit number 3 about a year ago. Then we have done another 4 units, so 5 out of the 6 we have done and implemented these design modifications. The only unit that's outstanding, which is currently in an outage, is unit number 5. So when this unit comes back, then we will again assess, the overall success of the design modifications. At this point in time, really positive progress and positive impact on the available capacity. However, there are still challenges, but that we will deal with as and when we have the opportunity to take a unit out on an outage. Then on Kusile, Unit 3 is currently busy with a testing and optimization phase. And then in June, September, and in January next year, units number 1, 2, and 3 at Kusile will then, we will implement the design modifications on those as well. I've decided to just give this sort of a diagram to you, just to show you what we have achieved as Eskom in terms of new capacity that we've added for the country. And basically, we have Kusile unit number 3 within the next week or 3. We believe that will be in commercial operation. Then we'll have units at Kusile in commercial operation, while units 4, 5, and 6 still in construction phase. And then Medupi Unit 1, because it would have been in commercial operation, and I need to give that credit to the colleagues at Medupi and Group Capital. However, because of the constrained system that we have requested that unit, although it's not in commercial operation, to contribute to the capacity that is required. But we expect that unit within the next month or 3 also to be in commercial operation, with a full power station then in commercial operation, just going then through the defects correction period. So good performance. Well done, colleagues. Transmission, our system and its loss, in terms of our tolerance, we way under, as I said earlier, good improvement. But for me, what is very positive is, although we had the COVID challenge right in the beginning, a year ago, the transmission colleagues under